What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Plays Live. I'm James Duggan, joined by Chloi Rad.
Hey, everyone.
We're going to be talking about Nioh. You just reviewed it. You liked it a lot.
I like Nioh a lot. I played Nioh a lot. We're going to play some more for you guys now.
I'm actually going to play for my first time. I've yet to play any of it, but as I go through the tutorial, you're going to talk about some of the ways it differs from Dark Souls. You said in your review it owes a lot to Dark Souls. It owes a lot to From Software, but there are a lot of things that you really like, that it iterated upon, the key pulse system, the stance system, a lot.
It builds on established mechanics of the genre very well. It has a very unique identity that I kind of want to talk more about, not just the way it, pulls from Dark Souls, but the way it builds on that.
Where should I start? Is this too much of a novice scenario?
I would go through it, yeah,
okay.
Just so we can. What we kind of want to talk about first is just introducing you guys to like what Nioh is in terms of gameplay, and then we're gonna move on to like a real level.
Exactly. A little bit of housekeeping before we get into that. You can tweet at us at IGN Plays Live. At IGN with the hashtag IGN Plays Live. We are also on Twitch. We are on YouTube chat. We are on Facebook chat. And Chloe's going to be doing her absolute best to answer your questions. But when she takes over and shows you some of the more advanced, skillful play, I'll be kind of funneling those questions to her. So any questions you have about the game, its systems, the lore, what have you, just send them our way, and we'll do our absolute best to answer.
I'll try my best to answer them while playing.
All right, so who is this character?
So you are William Adams. He was actually a real guy. Go to the little waypoint on your mini-map. William Adams is a real dude in the 1600s. He was like a sailor, a British sailor. Irish, actually, I think. And he was the first Englishman to reach Japan.
Wow.
In Nioh, he's just a badass for some reason, which is fine. Yeah, so you picked up your weapon there. The status menu is in the touchpad. This game has a lot of menus. As someone who doesn't play a lot of traditional JRPGs, I was a little surprised because, Dark Souls has menus, but it's not like overwhelmed by them. But the game actually does a good job walking you through them.
So we're playing the Tom Cruise equivalent of The Last Samurai. Got it.
He was actually the first samurai, the first English samurai.
The first very important distinction.
The first white guy to be given the samurai title, even though in real life he didn't fight.
Okay, quick attack, square, strong attack. Tell me about the platforms that this is on. Let's play this movie.
Just on PlayStation 4.
PlayStation 4 exclusive. Yeah. Us PC guys on Steam. Hope it comes there eventually. We'll see.
Think PC was confirmed.
Okay.
And that would be awesome, definitely. Yeah, so lock on with press the
There we go. Yeah. Similar to Dark Souls. All right, so we have a strong attack, and we are right now in the low stance, or is this the...
This is mid stance.
Mid stance.
And it'll introduce you to the stances in a second. We want to take it one step at a time.
Okay, so we have the lock on there, which is clicking in, switch targets. Great.
Oh, yeah. So somebody asked, is this running on a PS4 Pro? Okay, yeah, we're on a PS4 Pro right now, and I believe we're on action mode, right? Yeah, so one cool feature this game has when you first load it up is it lets you select action mode or movie mode. Action mode locks it at 60 frames, and the game takes a not very big hit to graphics, but I mean, like, the game still looks good.
Sure.
But then movie mode locks it at 30 frames with improved graphics. Given how fast-paced this game is, I don't know why you would want to play it in 30 frames, but it's a...
Well, I think there is some kind of like stigma attached to Dark Souls about the cinematic experience at a lower frame rate, which I don't necessarily buy into, but for people who do, that's cool.
Yeah,
it's a cool inclusion for sure.
I'm somebody who I prefer a locked frame rate above anything else, like a stable frame rate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool that they give people the option. Anyway, so this is, yeah, your stances. So you have 3 stances in Nioh. Each one has its own moveset and its own advantages and disadvantages. So they all have really unique applications in combat. High stance eats up a lot of ki, which is like your stamina, essentially. So it's that green bar right under the health bar.
But it deals a lot of damage as well.
It deals a lot of damage, it uses up more ki, and the attacks are a lot slower. Low stance is essentially the opposite. You do, if you want to go to low stance real quick.
Sure.
Yeah, so you do really quick attacks that don't do a lot of ki.
And what I immediately find interesting, and you talked about this in your review, but this, in some ways, is kind of allowing you to customize with a single weapon, kind of get over and bleed into the archetypes that would normally in Dark Souls be associated with a one-handed sword, or now I'm using kind of a two-handed hammer kind of deal.
You're able to have a more well-rounded approach to combat no matter what weapon you want to use. So you have katanas, battle axes, war hammers, which I think falls into the battle axe kind of category.
Sure.
You have this chain weapon that's really quick, dual swords, spears, which are very powerful. Yeah, so the key pulse thing is the next big thing. This is the system that allows you to regenerate your own stamina in the middle of battle.
This is kind of a tempo thing that I have to time appropriately?
Yeah, and so do an attack real quick. So do you see how it kind of builds up?
So
do a high stance attack because it...
Sure. It's almost like, I hate to make this comparison, but it's almost like an active reload.
It's essentially that, yeah. And so see there, I think you did a perfect one where the right when it hits that like fully reloaded thing, you hit it and then... All
right, and this is talking about the yokai, which you also touched on in your review, where there are these areas around them. Right, I'm going to keep my distance here, but this is going to... So now my stamina is going to regenerate very slowly unless I do the key pulse.
Your stamina, yeah, it does it...
Or my key, rather.
Yeah, and so doing a perfect key pulse in those realms will get rid of that. And so what that does is it lets you obviously regenerate your stamina better, and then it also denies them the stamina regen.
Great. I want to take a question right now, which actually Brandon Graber already answered in the chat, but this is from Kanzakaje on Twitch. Thank you so much for the question. Hey, Chloi Duggan, will there be any multiplayer?
There is multiplayer already. There's a co-op. You can summon a friend or join a friend's game. And I believe PvP is coming in a free update soon.
That is very exciting.
PvP is going to be crazy in this game.
All right, where am I going now?
Okay, so yeah, we want to do a full mission. So here.
Sure.
Yeah. So we're on Mitchell's save right now. He's our Let's Play producer. The reason is...
With the
Yeah, so there's this really deep skill system that you have in Nioh that you can see here. As you play and as you gain familiarity with weapons, which is actually one thing I really like if you want to master a weapon, you just have to use it. You gain familiarity points, and that gives you some advantages with it. But you also unlock samurai skill points, which you can use here for sword, dual swords, spears, axes, and kusarigamas. Sorry if I butchered that.
Valiant effort, I'm sure.
Anyway, so with the samurai skill points, you can unlock abilities, and then once you do that, you go to skill customization, and you can bind them to, as you can see here, these like pre-mapped kind of combos. So like for instance, with the sword in the high stance, you could do something called a sword key, which you can see here disperses ki from your sword, and it'll stun enemies and do damage to their stamina. So this is really great for like kind of finishing an enemy off if they're low stamina but high health, because then you can do a grapple, which is a universal ability that you should definitely unlock like right away, because that's like your execution move. But yeah, so you have abilities bound to specific weapons, bound to specific button presses, and bound to specific stances. So there is a lot of customization, a lot of ways to build out your specific playstyle, but I love the way that it allows all of this while still operating in the same kind of key-based framework where like anything you do is going to be dependent on making sure that you can regenerate your key and manage your stamina.
Here are the little tree folk that you also touched on, and one of the other things, kind of stepping away from the combat for a second, moving to the narrative elements and just kind of the vibe of the narrative is don't shoot them.
I'm not going to shoot them, I'm just doing it.
Is that it is able to switch very seamlessly between this extremely oppressive, difficult, just kind of ominous feel when you're fighting a boss or something very just difficult, to this very lighthearted, fun, almost not taking itself too seriously. What are these Dark Souls bonfires around here? Talk to me about these.
So,
are those the equivalent of like bloodstains?
Let me address what you said first.
Okay.
Oh no.
Oh,
no.
a
Okay,
giant blob.
A lot can happen in a second in this game. Okay, yeah. I'll get back to the tone of the game. Let's deal with this guy.
Sure. Let's deal with this giant blob. All right. I am looking at Facebook. I am looking at Twitch. But again, the best way for me to see the question that you have is to tweet at IGN with the hashtag IGNPlaysLive. That is where we get the lowest traffic in terms of questions, and it's going to be the easiest for me to understand what you want to say. So let's check Facebook chat. What's up, Facebook?
Yeah, so the tone of the game. So you find these little dudes. They're called Kodama. They're like tree spirits. Like, have you seen Spirited Away?
Yes.
Yeah, so those little guys.
Aww.
Yeah. So these are kind of like the in-game collectibles, but what I like about them is that they're not just a shallow, useless collectible just to see a number go up. They actually give you some cool benefits when they go back to your shrine, and we can talk about that later next time I go back. So these bonfires are actually the corpses of other players where they died, and when you summon one, let's summon Chocobo Slayer 780. It creates an NPC version of their character. So this isn't actually another player, it's just their build, basically.
Sure. And so now you're out of stamina, and that's really bad. But so is he. There's a cool execution-esque ability. And so is this something that'll probably stay around after PvP is implemented, or is this just a holdover until that point?
I think it'll definitely stay.
Okay.
Like, yeah. And I like it a lot, too, because it makes grinding really easy. Instead of having to go to where, like there's an enemy here, and like it changes things up every time you return to the level, which is really cool.
All right, we're going to take a question from Facebook from Tom Browers. Thank you so much for your question. He says, this is very intimidating. Can I get through the game without those fighter game-like combos? Basically, if you're someone who's new to the Souls series or seems a little intimidated but really likes maybe the aesthetic of this game, is this something that it does a good enough job gradually introducing you to the mechanics, or is it kind of wear on its sleeve that it is notoriously difficult?
So, in my opinion, it definitely does a good job teaching you everything. I mean, like, yeah, I go through this, and I imagine if you're just coming into the stream now and you're seeing all this, it looks very complicated. I mean, even, like, we haven't even touched on titles and prestige yet. There's so many systems in this game that it can seem overwhelming, but it does a good job teaching you everything. It also gives you really good bonuses for doing all of the training missions in the dojo, which you can access between missions in the kind of overhead world view. Those training missions give you skill points, and they also unlock abilities for you. And some of these abilities are like things that you're gonna definitely want as you play. So it gives you an incentive to do the training so that the tutorials aren't just boring, a useless waste of time.
Sure.
But it also, as you play, like for instance, we skipped the Tower of London, which is the first level. And that's the level that kind of teaches you the basics of movement and combat. And then in the dojo, it introduces you to the key system. So it takes it one step at a time. And I'm someone who, like, isn't a huge fan of tutorials in games, actually. Like, I prefer a pure approach.
Organic approach to figuring it out. Sure.
But, and, even I thought that it did a pretty good job.
So touching on, we were talking about the various levels and kind of the overworld map. And touching on that, this is a big difference from certainly the first Dark Souls, but Dark Souls 2 and 3, you were kind of teleporting around anyway, so you could make the argument that was a less connected world. But anyway, we have a comment here from Komuro Tetsu, who said, I heard this game doesn't have a connected world like Dark Souls, and it's all mission-based.
Yep.
So can you talk about that?
Yeah, so it's a lot like Demon Souls in that way, where you don't really have a hub world, you just have that overworld map view. And so there's like 5 or 6 regions in the game that you travel to. Each one has...
Nice. A For Honor environmental kill there.
Oh yeah, the For Honor beta was out when I was playing this, so I didn't get a chance to play that. But
open beta
stay on topic.
2 days from now. So
oh really?
Yeah, you can check that out.
Sorry, it's hard for me to talk and play.
Yeah, I would imagine. Ooh, nice. That was a good bit of gore.
Oh yeah,
like some nice,
you
nice katana arm
their heads
chopping.
off, too. What was the question about the
the map?
So the world. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and also not fall into the water because this level is very, very dangerous. So levels are standalone. Like this area, for instance, it's disconnected from the rest of the world. And after I finish this mission, I'm going to go back to the overworld view and move on to the next one. I actually didn't mind that. Like I mean, that's the way Demon Souls is and stuff. And I like that it allows levels to have a very strong identity. Not that Dark Souls levels don't. I mean, they absolutely do. But I don't know. It works for the game. Like at first I was worried about it, but it definitely doesn't take anything away.
Is there some kind of like overworld hub? You were talking in your review about going back and kind of looking at your collection of those cute little tree spirits and then having a quick break from the otherwise just frankly oppressive difficulty of the game, which is kind of why you come to this game. But can you talk about that experience between going out to fight, conquering this epic boss, and then coming back and kind of relaxing and managing your skills and items and stuff like that? Once you're done killing these guys.
In the overworld view?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a nice opportunity to... It's the equivalent, I would say, of reaching a bonfire in Dark Souls, where you can kind of sit down and be like, okay, where am I in the game right now? Like, you have access to the shrine, too, so you can level up. It's just a nice way to manage things, and I mean, like I said, there's a lot to manage in this game.
Sure.
And actually right here, spoiler, this guy's going to jump out. And this is actually a great opportunity to show off my living weapon, which is another really big part of Nioh. So you have these guardian spirits, which are these kind of animal-based things,
and you have a meter over there that's kind of like supercharging your weapon?
Yeah, so I actually still have access to... Let's see if I can get this guy real quick.
Oh, no, it's running out. Oh, okay, it just ran out.
But yeah, so the living weapons are really nice. And you can see right now it's...
Charging?
It's charging up.
So is that
not so that I can
time-based?
reuse it. It's so that I can start building back up to it.
Got it. Okay. So
yeah.
there's a cooldown on top of the fact that you have to charge it up as a resource with other abilities.
Exactly.
Okay. Big shout out to Brandon Graber, who's answering a ton of the questions in Twitch chat. If you really need an answer to something, that's a really great way to get it. The other way is to tweet at IGN, the hashtag IGN Plays Live. We have 2 questions, and I want to kind of go through them rapid fire style and just relatively short answers. The first one is from Dequaze, who asked, do you think Nioh is kind of like Onimusha, and do you think or is it set in the same time period?
I actually haven't played a lot of Onimusha, have you?
No, I have not, so neither of us can speak to that.
Yeah, what's funny is like I am actually not super familiar with Team Ninja's work. I played a little bit of Ninja Gaiden when I was younger, but I mean, not enough to really be an authority on it.
Sure.
I definitely came at this from a Souls perspective and background.
All right, next question. Stephen Anthony Leah says, is the AI any good in the game? Also, is there a lot of grinding?
The AI seemed fine. I mean, no complaints. In terms of grinding, I had to do a little bit of it for the review only because I was in such a rush to finish the main campaign that I didn't do a lot of the side missions. But the way the side missions are like gradually made available to you and stuff, I imagine if you went at a more normal pace than I had to,
sure.
It's probably not much of a grind. I mean, like I beat this game severely under-leveled, and so that's why a lot of the times I was just like, I need to be like 5 levels higher right now than
right.
I am.
So you could have done more grinding to kind of ease the difficulty, but you were able to finish
but
it
it wouldn't
despite
even
that.
be grinding because like I would have been doing side missions at a normal pace.
Oh, okay. All right.
And so, yeah, I mean, there were only a couple times where I really had to go through and just kill the same enemies over and over again.
Sure. So at no point do you feel that there's an extreme disparity between the amount of experience you're gaining and the challenge you're presented with that you need to, like, basically once you've completed the side missions, still need to grind out a bunch of stuff. You felt it did a pretty good job of rewarding you with the experience and kind of carrying you along the main mission.
Yeah, I would say so.
Great. We got more coming in. Do you lose?
Level design.
Andrew Garcia wants to know: do you lose everything when you die, or do you get to keep some of your progression? How often do save points show up?
It's a good question. So shrines show up about as often as bonfires in Dark Souls. You know, it's not too generous, but it's also not unfair. When you die, similar to Dark Souls, you lose basically what's your experience. In this game, it's called Amrita, which is that ties into the story a bit, which I won't get into too much. But oh god, that was scary.
Almost did a sweet 360 off the edge of that. Can you do that? Could you?
Oh yeah. So here we go. Here's
Okay.
a shrine right now. So
Look at that.
here's a checkpoint.
And this is kind of the equivalent of a bonfire.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is absolutely, because here you can level up, and we're actually pretty close, so we'll come back to this. But yeah, when you die, you lose all your Amrita, which is, you can see at the bottom right. I have 17,000 right now, and you lose your Guardian Spirit, and it shows up as, like, instead of a blood stain, you have a grave that your Guardian Spirit protects over, and so you have an opportunity to go back and collect your experience and collect your Guardian Spirit. Obviously, if you die before that, then you lose all of it.
Sure.
Which actually only happened to me a couple times.
Yeah, I found that when I was playing the Souls games, I never really, that was always the hook, was like, there is potentially like this huge loss of progression, but if you manage everything right, and I don't know, I don't think it happens as often as I initially thought it would, but
Don't die.
yeah, just
Just don't suck.
get good. That's all you got to do. We have a comment here from Said1990. Neither Chloe and I could really speak to Onimusha, but Said here can. As an Onimusha fan who couldn't get into the aesthetic of Dark Souls, this looks right up my alley. Yeah, I have to say the aesthetic is something that was not a huge attractor for me for this game particularly. I love the gothic look of Dark Souls, but even playing that tutorial and seeing you play now, I'm really interested in the key system. I'm really interested in the stance system, and
Should be interested in these little guys too.
yes, I mean, they're awesome.
Yeah, I love the style of this game a lot. The way that so many of the enemies are kind of inspired by, like, things from, like, Japanese folklore and mythology is really awesome.
Here's a great question from Twitter, and this comes from Cypher Knight, who wants to know, is there no parry riposte system? By the way, he's way too loud, she's way too quiet. Mitch isn't here to fix that, but we will. Oh, here he is.
Back. I'll just shout until he fixes the
I'll just talk
levels.
very quietly. Okay, so is there no parry riposte system in this
So you can unlock a parry ability for the katana. So if that's the way that you want to play, then you can work towards unlocking that ability. But there's no, like, default, like the way the game starts. There's nothing like that.
That was one of my favorite elements of Dark Souls.
God.
But it's one of the most challenging ones. Yeah, we got a comment that I was maybe a little loud and Chloe was maybe a little quiet, and we might want to adjust those a little bit. I moved my mic slightly away from my face, so hopefully that helps. Oh, here's a great question that players just want clarity. A lot of questions about this from people coming from both a Ninja Gaiden background as well as a Souls background, and this comes from AMC on Twitter. Does this have a loot system, and can you explain it?
Yeah, you get a lot of loot in this game. I mean, you can see it every time I kill an enemy. They just explode in gold and items. So, for instance, here's the weapons that I have right now. I mean, this is Mitch's account again,
sure.
but
and there's a rarity system as well.
Yeah, you can sort by ability, rarity, level. So, I didn't actually touch on this much in my review. The the kind of like really rich loot economy that this game builds. It's really awesome because like you have everything is sort of like unique. Like you have all these buffs and passive effects and stuff that weapons grant you. So like for instance, this katana that we're using right now, it gives me an agility damage bonus, which increases damage in proportion to your agility. And our agility right now is actually not fantastic because we're using some heavy armor, but
follow-up question to that. This comes from John Lynch 1 on YouTube. Can you raise the level of weapons/armor and also boost passive effects like you can in the Souls game?
So you can do that at the blacksmith in between levels, in the overhead view again. There's a lot of things you can do there, and I kind of wish that the blacksmith was available to you like at the shrine and stuff. I get how that maybe wouldn't make sense, but there were certain times in the game where I was like, man, like I feel like my weapon's just like not good enough right now.
Sure. And then you just got hit and chugged a potion there. Is that similar to an Estus flask? Do those kind of regenerate every time you hit one of those shrines, or?
Yeah. So. Sorry, there's so many there's so many systems in this game that are like tied together. So it's like as you jump from one to the other, I am tempted to like kind of backtrack to
sure, go for it.
You know, like we talked about the Kodama and the shrines. So those Kodama actually you can receive a blessing, and let's actually run back to the shrine right now, just because I think we can level up anyways. So it's all working out nicely. So the Kodama, as you find them, they'll grant you blessings at the shrine, and those do different things. Like for instance, we can get more elixirs, and I'll show you that in a second.
And I love the variants of weapons on at your back there. That looks like two kind of scythes connected with a chain.
A bow, a rifle, and then we got the chain weapon, which is extremely fast.
Take me back to Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah. So here, okay, receive Kodama blessing. So all these little guys there, they actually serve a purpose.
You eat them?
You don't eat them.
Okay, good.
What? So the more that you find, you see that we have 5 out of the 9 in this level. The more that you find, the more default elixirs that you can walk away from a shrine with. So it's 3 starting. So every time you save at a shrine, you get 3 elixirs, and that's the health potions that you have to go through the level with. But and they refill obviously every time you go to a shrine. But we have +2 because we found 5 of them. And I actually don't know how the math works exactly. That's probably a question for Brendan Graber in the chat. But the more Kodama you find, the more elixirs that you get. So we're going to walk away from the shrine with 5, unless we have extra in the storehouse, which is possible because enemies also drop elixirs. We can also, as we find Kodama with the different little bowls on their head, we can do things like select this one, and it's only 100 gold, and you get so much gold in this game. So this will increase the elixir drop rate from enemies by 5%. This is the best one, I think, right now because we have 20% increase in the experience that we get from enemies.
Sure.
But there's also something similar to using souls in Dark Souls, and I don't know if Mitch has any right here. Yeah, here we go. So Spirit Stones. So you can use these.
Get experience.
And then
Good.
We have just enough now to level up. So.
Brandon Graber says that every 5 Kodama you find in the region gets you a +1 elixir count.
Cool.
All right, some rapid-fire questions here. Dana Catanzo on Facebook would like to know level cap. Is there a level cap?
I don't know. I'm level 108, and the last level, so every mission you do has a recommended level. So if we go to options right now, it says mission level 38, and right now we're level 43. So we're actually a little over level for this, which is probably why it's not been so bad. But I beat the game at level 108, and the recommended level for the last level is 145.
Oh, okay, so it's significant, and then there's the whole kind of New Game Plus-esque element of it, as well as that New Game Plus Light, the Twilight realms.
Yeah, so that's what I've been calling it. The Twilight missions, it cycles through like 2 at a time, but every time you complete a mission, you get access to the Twilight mission version of that, which is sort of like I said, New Game Plus Light, where it's like as you play, you can go back and replay a mission you've already done, but like in hard mode. But then once you beat the game, you unlock a difficulty called Way of the Strong, and that gives you access to all the missions in the game, like ultra hard mode.
Great job talking and playing here. You're doing a bang-up job.
That's why I lagged all of a sudden.
Oh, no. Seriously, you were doing very good.
I got stun locked. See, if you get hit... Oh, God. See, if you get hit while you're out of key, you get
It's much more punishing than in the Souls games.
Yeah.
Zachary Wayne Davis on Facebook would like to know if there's co-op. There is. You can play with your friends. And there apparently will be PvP in the future as well. Oh, here's a great question. This is from Cody Gull Edge on Twitter. He wants to know, hi, James, ask Chloi what she knows now that would have been helpful when she first started playing the game.
We actually have a wiki page dedicated to just that. It's called Things Nioh Doesn't Tell You. If, Brendan, you want to drop a link to that, that would be really useful for people.
That'll be in Twitch chat.
Yeah, I think maybe... See, as I answer questions, I'm just like... one of the biggest things is, at least if you're like me and you're coming to Nioh from like a Dark Souls background, don't try to play it like Dark Souls. I tried to dash away from enemies a lot, so you hit X to do your dash.
Sure,
and it actually
that's taking a nice big chunk of your stamina.
It does. And so the invulnerability frames don't really work the same way. I mean, I would have to play and like really test to understand, but it's like dodging attacks is a much bigger risk than it is in Dark Souls, where you can kind of like not use a shield and just dodge and it's fine. You actually have to double tap if you want to do the dodge roll, and I think that's what makes you invincible to enemy attacks. But guarding is definitely the way that you want to go at a lot of bosses, because if you... God, see, like I did it again. I try to roll away, and...
So guarding is the thing to do instead of dodging.
I mean, there are opportunities. There's obviously going to be times where you want to dodge, but sometimes it's actually better to take a hit on your health than it is on your stamina. If you take a hit on your stamina, you are done for.
Sure.
Like if you get stun locked by certain bosses.
The amount of health you're getting is just, or I'm sorry, loot you're getting is just dizzying. It's like Diablo.
Yeah, and so actually, I didn't talk about this when we went to the shrine. There's just so much to talk about with this game.
Sure.
You can actually offer loot to the shrine, and you get a bunch of experience, and you also get like item drops, so you get like an antidote or an elixir or something. And, it's really cool because it kind of turns the loot into a form of currency. So you have like, you get so much junk loot, but it's not all useless.
Sure. Yeah. Let's take a quick question here from Mitchell on Twitter. Wants to know, how difficult is Nioh compared to the Souls games and Bloodborne? Imagine that's a difficult question to answer.
It's a good question, and it's one I've been getting a lot. Let's head back to the shrine because I fell a little behind there. Yeah, so I feel like Nioh is definitely up there with Dark Souls. Just for some context, I felt like Bloodborne was much easier than Dark Souls was. But I mean, that's because the speed and the rally system I feel like is a little bit generous. But Nioh, it looks really fast. It looks like it's just gonna be like a hack and slash game. But everything you do like has to be calculated. Like if you're not planning your every move, then you're gonna end up like, you know, what just happened here, where I just burned through all of my elixirs and stuff because I was not paying full attention. But I feel like the difficulty in Nioh really comes from the fact that there is just no room for mistakes, especially during bosses. Like, it demands so much from you. You kind of have to be at like 100% at all times, and if you try to rush, like you're not gonna win. So here, I can like sell some. I mean, not sell, but you know, give away some of these items to the shrine, and I get an elixir from it. So that's kind of where all that junk loot comes in handy.
All right. The questions on Twitter keep rolling in. Remember, you can tweet at IGN with the hashtag IGNPlaysLive, and we'll do our best to answer. We got another question from AMC who wants to know, do the enemy difficulty, so do the enemy levels basically scale as you level up as well? Or if you were to take your level 106 character and go back to one of the starter levels, would it just be incredibly easy and the enemies wouldn't be any more difficult than if you had gone through the first time?
Yeah, I feel like because it's mission-based, the enemies are kind of just...
Static?
static according to the mission level and stuff, because it's not like an open world like Dark Souls, right, where like you can go to a late game area immediately. So
nice. Said 1990 wants to know who's excited for Path of Exile on Xbox One. That's a great free-to-play game that offers a ton of content for free, so you should totally check it out. Preacher Man 1971 asks, how long is this game? And is it, well, we already answered this, talking about the open world, or is it limited like Dragon Age Inquisition? It's mission-based, but there is an overworld. You felt that the variance in the level's aesthetics
makes up for the fact that it's not like an open world.
Right.
The length of the game depends a lot on your skill, obviously. You can beat this anywhere between 50 to 70 hours if you're just going through the main campaign and doing minimal side missions. With all the side missions, over 100 hours easily. Also the Twilight missions. I mean, like, the awesome thing is this game is just so replayable. Here I am getting owned by a skeleton.
So, of course, like, resting at the equivalent of the bonfires does respawn enemies as well. As we're seeing you play through this one part again. But what's cool is the first time you went through this, I believe you summoned the Revenant. And this time you could choose not to do that if you were just having a difficult time getting through it.
Keep reappearing. I think after a while, some of them do stop appearing, and I wonder if it's if you just fight them too much. Like, there are even, you know, I walked away from this game having played like 70 hours, and I still have a couple questions about the way, like, just exact mechanics work. I mean, not like the big mechanics, but things like that. Like, sometimes I fought the same Revenant like 3 or 4 times, and then suddenly it was like gone. And that's not a con for me. Like, I think it's just so awesome that this game is this huge that, oh god.
So you're trying to nail that key pulse there to get rid of that,
that
key degeneration zone, but can you just kite him out of it? Is that something you can do?
You can do that. What I was trying to do is...
Oh, he looks like he does it again when he
he can
hits
keep
you.
doing it. I'm just trying to make sure I don't roll into the water right
Sure.
now. One thing I like to do is just do a quick attack and then key pulse just to get rid of it. It's just kind of a cheaty way to get
Sure. Well, it works.
Oh god, oh my god, I almost fell in the water. This level's gonna give me a heart attack.
Here's a great inside baseball question from Galras79 that I would also like to know the answer to. Do the loot drops scale on based on your level or based on the enemy level?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, I'm sure we could find that out with some myth busting.
Almost positive that it's the mission level.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure that goes up if it's like the strong New Game Plus, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, New Game Plus and also Twilight missions give you a lot better loot. And that's because the mission level is higher. So much gold everywhere.
Nova XZ on Twitch would like to know, on average, how long are each of the missions?
Oh man, I actually didn't know there was a shrine back here.
Well, there you go.
Finding out new things. Oh, and Mitchell, the guy whose account we're playing on, he's our Let's Play producer, he actually didn't know about the second shrine that I found. So
we're all learning new things.
Yeah,
this is
wow.
great.
Oh man, what's back here? Sorry, what was the question?
On average, how long are each of the missions?
A couple hours.
Really?
3 to 4 hours, maybe.
Wow.
Depending. I mean, so it definitely varies. There's some missions I ran through in an hour, some that took me significantly longer, just because maybe the boss was hard or there was more that I wanted to explore. So did we?
All right. AMC on Twitter says, great job, guys. I'm hyped and can't wait to get it. Thanks for answering all my questions. No problem, man. Anytime. And anybody else who has questions can tweet at IGN with the hashtag IGNPlays, and we'll do our best to answer them. Ryan Youngblood on Twitter wants to know, is the transition between attack and defense fluid and smooth, or is there a learning curve to get over? Is it noob-friendly? Seem to be getting that question about accessibility quite a bit.
Yeah. I'm interested in the transition between attack and defense. I feel like that has a lot to do with the stances. So let me get in a good area to kind of demonstrate.
Sure.
Or I can just say YOLO and just do it up on the roof. So like the best stance, for instance, for defense would probably be mid because it's a good. I mean, well, mid and low actually, because low is really great for like punishing attacks because you can do it so quick.
Right.
So it's like you kind of wait until the enemy's got like only a little bit of health and stuff just to shave off that last bit, or punish one of their like strong attacks, for instance, when they have like a significant opening.
So like that.
Yeah, except, oops, there he goes.
See ya. So it sounds like the shorter the animation in terms of attack, the faster it is to retaliate and kind
and
of
the more kind of
riposte
defense
sense.
oriented that I would say it is. So
Okay,
like because mid's got a good balance, mid's also very good for kind of evasive play. But yeah, I mean, like, you're sort of always on the defensive in games like this, even though the combat looks very stylish and it looks like you're kind of hacking and slashing away. You always have to have your key in mind, and so I don't know. I hope that answers the question.
Let's give YouTube some love. So this game is co-op with a single friend or co-op with multiple friends? How does that work?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, there were only so many people that I knew who were playing this, and who were as far as me.
Sure.
During the review process. And so I only co-opted with one person. Yeah, that's a good question.
That's a classic Souls trope.
Yeah.
Skeleton behind a wall. You were also saying, so it sounds like the answer right there is 1 confirmed, multiple maybe.
Yeah, I'm sorry I don't have that
Oh, no
answer
worries.
for that. That's actually a pretty important question.
The next question that I would have, and this is, Dark Souls always kind of tread this line between being almost not wanting you to do co-op at times, making it really difficult to put down your sign, to have your friend meet up, and then a lot of the times there would be like a networking issue, especially on PC. Basically, I have a friend that I played the Souls games alongside, and really only in Dark Souls 3 were we able to like really properly co-op. But it was one of those systems where, and you touched on this in your review, it felt as though it made the content so easy that the world didn't feel oppressive. It lost its tone. And so maybe that's the answer to why they made multiplayer so difficult, in which case I ask, why is it even in the game in the first place? So can you touch on if you feel like this game should be played co-op, or if you think the optimal experience is single player if you're looking for a challenge?
I mean, I don't think they would make the multiplayer like an obscure system to prevent people from using it. I just think that maybe it's a balance issue.
Oh, in Dark Souls?
In Nioh. I
Oh,
mean,
okay,
in Dark
got it.
Souls, multiplayer was awful on PC when they used games for Windows Live. Sorry, Microsoft.
No, it's the worst.
Yeah, I mean, when they implemented Steamworks, it got a lot better. But, I mean, multiplayer is easy to access and stuff in this game. It's just the 2 bosses. I only co-op 2 bosses, and they just went by so quickly with with help. And I.
Can you do it for the whole level, or can you only summon friends for bosses?
You can do the whole level. You can do any point in the mission. As you do it from the shrine.
Great.
So, and the one major constraint is that your friend has to have the level completed, I believe, or at least unlocked.
I see. And if you or your friend died, does that summon process need to happen over again, or are you just in the same game?
I never died. Go off.
Can't answer questions
So.
about dying because Chloi never
No, that's
dies.
No, but I never died in the co-op, so that's actually. I mean, these are things that like. You know, I wish I had spent a little bit more time in multiplayer, but it's so hard for games like this when all reviewers are in like different parts.
Yeah,
of the game.
I'm sure, especially during the
And
when
also
you're just trying to beat the
multiplayer's
game as
not
well.
like a huge aspect of it too. So.
My.
But I imagine it will be when PvP comes out.
Yeah,
because that's
Invasion's
gonna be
always felt great.
great.
The PvP always felt great in Dark Souls. My whole thing with co-op in Dark Souls was commit to it or don't. Stop going in between because it's frustrating and annoying. But it sounds as though it's a little bit more accessible in terms of playing with friends, just summoning them under shrine.
Yeah, I can actually show that right now. So you do, from your shrine, you do summon visitor. And you offer these things called Ochako cups. and you have a limited number, but at some point in the game, you unlock the ability to buy them at this area that you get access to in the overworld view. And so we start the offering, and it says invoking visitor, and so we're just waiting for someone who's in their own game waiting to be summoned into this specific level. So you can pick you can set up all these variables. You can say I only want to be summoned into this level that I'm playing right now, or any of the level, or only levels that my friends are summoning in.
Interesting.
And
so
then
there's a
all
matchmaking
get matched
system
up with someone. Yeah. And
Interesting.
so we're not
Filters?
going to sit here and wait for someone to be summoned, but
Sure. But if you were on TeamSpeak with a friend or something, or talking to them in a PlayStation party, you could kind of
and
match the time that
and
you were
the 2 times that I summoned somebody, it was instant.
That's great.
I didn't have to wait that long at all.
That's exciting to me as somebody who enjoys co-op, even if it does come at a challenge, a sacrifice of difficulty. I think it's, if it is in the game, it should be accessible, and co-op, getting your friend into a game, in my opinion, should not be one of the obscure labyrinthian things that a game like Dark Souls does. And Dark Souls does a lot of things to that nature that are really cool, but I'm happy to hear that co-op is
a built-in system in the game.
Right, and not an afterthought in this weird kind of thing. Love those environmental kills. How much is the environment played up? I see there's obviously a lot of room to fall off in this level, a lot of water hazards, but how frequent is that?
The levels are really great. There are definitely levels, there's this one level that reminds me a lot of Blight Town, where again it's the same kind of thing. And the environments do play a pretty big role. And again, there's you saw me climbing up on rooftops and stuff. There's so many little hidden areas to explore, and I've done this mission twice, I think, in my own game, and I didn't even know about that second bonfire or shrine.
We got a question from, where was it? On Twitch. Cybernout17 wants to know, how is the game so far? So, Chloe, you beat it. You wrote the review on IGN. You gave it a 9.6, which is amazing. And I was a big fan of your review. Your review talks a lot about the systems. If you're coming at this from a Souls perspective, I highly recommend checking it out, just because it goes through all of the systems that differ. And in a lot of ways, you can kind of form your own opinion about whether or not you would like to play something like it. But your review certainly sparked interest for me as somebody who is... I played Dark Souls 1 all the way through, and then 2 and 3, I just kind of got a little fatigued. I was like, this is great, but man, there's a couple other things I want to try. I'm definitely going to check this out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It seems to be doing enough differently that I would be interested in giving it a shot. Also, I like loot, and I like a lot of loot, and this game gives a lot of loot.
I'm trying to remember how to get to the third... and it actually is a bonfire. There's bonfires in this level that you have to light. And I'm trying to remember how to get to the third one.
We have a request here from Scoots McRiley. Can we see some of the other weapons in action?
Oh yeah, somebody actually asked that, and I was going to address that. Yeah, let me get out of here.
Oh boy!
First.
Oh, the first death. Prepare.
50 minutes in.
Prepare to fail.
Yep.
Can't be prepare to die, because so it's got to be prepare to.
Now I can show everyone
prepare to die valiantly.
How you collect your experience again. So as you can see in the upper left corner, I no longer have my Guardian Spirit buddy, and so I can't use my living weapon until I get my.
Until you retrieve your
until you get your Guardian.
So not only do you lose experience if you don't reclaim it, but you also are prevented from using that
temporarily.
ability.
And so if I die right now, the Guardian Spirit will come back, but I just won't have any of my experience. I can also do what's called a callback, and I can sacrifice that 3,700 Amrita or experience that I lost. I can sacrifice it just to get my Guardian Spirit back. So there are times when you might want to do that, but we're still kind of early on, so that's still a decent amount of.
And I've noticed you've used your Guardian Spirit just about every time you come up against the yokai.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a pretty fail-safe way to clear those.
Yeah, I'm just doing that to make it easier right now.
Sure. Great question here from username on Twitter. Oh, unless you want to touch on something.
Oh no, I was gonna grab.
Oh, look at this cool thing.
Yeah, I was gonna grab my grave, and then I was gonna use this weapon. This is actually going to be fun because I didn't use this weapon at all in my playthrough.
I've done this so many times in the Souls games and gotten punished for it, sprinting to my...
Yeah, and then you aggro everything.
Yeah, right.
What's funny is the aggro is actually pretty forgiving in this game.
Is there a leash distance?
Like,
or?
you can see
Yeah.
now, they're just like,
Chilling.
I don't want to go there. They see my...
That's a pretty short leash distance. Headshot.
That's what I thought.
Was he summoning a... I couldn't tell if that was just an effect that looked similarly... Oh, wow. Throwbacks to Ninja Gaiden right now.
Hold triangle.
Oh! A reverse get over here. So if you love this playstyle, and obviously this weapon has to function differently in all of the stances, so that's awesome. It seems like there's just a whole added 4 dimensions on top of any given weapon.
3 separate movesets for every single weapon based on the stances, and then you have the abilities that you can unlock. So, like, I don't even know the abilities that he has unlocked for this. So, like, yeah, here's all the... you can also interchange them, too, if you have more than one. It's really cool. Okay, where is this? Third...
All right, we have 2 questions on Twitter I'm going to take. The first one is from Username. Great question. When I think about the Souls series and I think about boss fights, I think about the epic music, kind of this orchestral rise that is just totally fitting of the tone. And Username wants to know, what do you think of the music? Is it just more of the same, or does it vary based on your situation?
That's a good question. The music in this game is actually really great. Like, it definitely grew on me, the theme song. The song that was used in our review I picked out because it's very great. This game's got a really cool, like, kind of heroic fantasy adventure tone that I really enjoy.
Nice.
Yeah, the story grew on me a lot. Like, I wrote this in my review. Like, I never gave a crap about William and his stupid fetch quest story. Like, he's basically trying to find... he's chasing some guy, you know, to Japan to get something that the guy stole from him and stuff. It's just like whatever. But the other characters in the game and kind of their collective journey, like, that they go on together, like this white guy being in the middle of, like, just all these warring clans in Japan and stuff, like, it's really fun. I like it a lot.
All right, the next question comes from Ryan Youngblood again. So he wants to know what your favorite weapon is and about how long you played to beat the campaign. And then the final addition to that, so 3 questions rolled into one, is do you think this is day 1 purchase worthy? Obviously, you gave it a 9.6, so I'm going to go ahead and say yes on your behalf for that point.
Yeah, definitely.
But what's your favorite weapon?
My favorite weapon, so I usually go heavier weapons in a lot of Souls games and stuff, so I started out using the battle axe, and that's really fun. Obviously, like, the super strong attacks come at you sacrifice, like, speed, but man, my drop attack failed. Katanas are a really well-rounded weapon. Near the end of the game, I discovered spears and how fun spears are to use. I definitely recommend trying those out in the beginning because not only are they fun, they are incredibly overpowered. Oh, crap.
So that is a stamina degeneration or prevention of regeneration aura.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily just... Or is that a yokai?
No, any enemy can create
one
of those.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Yeah. Cool. So you need to know how to keep pulse. I like that a lot. That's an additional mechanic that mixes things up. Awesome. And then the final part of that was how long you played to get through the initial campaign, about approximately.
Yeah. About anywhere from 60 to 70 hours. It's hard to say because it's hard to just use the hours that, like, my endgame save has because I idled a lot and also I played a lot in a separate save file too, like at work and stuff. So, I mean, total, I definitely played this game about 70 hours. To get through the campaign, probably closer to like 60 or 65.
Man, that weapon looks so fun.
It is fun, and I'm not used to it.
And you're in the high stance too, so these are kind of the more...
Yeah.
I like it. I like how the slow attack for that very quick and agile weapon is just a series of blows. That's really interesting.
Yeah, because it kind of locks you into the animation, and it forces you to do more damage. Now, if I drop down here...
this is the second or third time we've received this question, so I'm going to go ahead and ask it. This is from Cody Gullidge as well as others on Twitter. Any chance of this coming to Xbox in a year or so? And he adds on the comment that leash distance is a lot better than Conan. That's true. If you haven't played Conan Exiles, be aware the monsters will follow you to the ends of the earth to see you dead. But have you heard anything about it coming to Xbox? Maybe PC.
PC is I think a maybe. I'm trying to get over there, and I do not remember how I did it because this level is just so winding. I think it actually might be right over here. Yeah, Xbox. I'm not really sure. But here,
so it is a PS4 exclusive right now. So Xbox is a no for now.
I'll show you the whole thing.
And PC appears to also be a no for now, but possibly coming. In which case, that's when I'll certainly pick it up.
So that thing, if you attack it, it will absolutely destroy you, and you have to fight it, and it's really strong. But
so was that like a wall, or?
Yeah, it was a wall with eyes, and there's a couple of these in the game. And so one thing that's really funny is the way that you discover that you just have to like bow to it or use. Oh yeah, there's gestures, by the way, which is super Dark Souls. But
oh yeah,
you can use bow or like another. You can use the sorry gesture. You use it at the wall, and he lets you pass.
Is that every wall, or just that wall? That's a little Easter egg.
There's multiple ones throughout the game, but you can see how revenants have died. So this guy drowned.
You can also see his gear, or
yeah,
right?
You can get
That's interesting.
drops and stuff. But around these walls, a lot of the time, revenants have died. It says crushed by yokai for hostile behavior, and so that's kind of the hint that you have to like bow or say sorry or something, and this guy disappears, and now I get to come to this area that I've been searching for. Yeah, so you were asking earlier about kind of the way the role that the environment plays in levels, and I think there's a lot of kind of neat stuff like that. It's really
cool. Ryan Green on Facebook says it kind of looks like a thwomp from Mario. Kind of does. A little bit similar. All right, if you have questions about Nioh or Dark Souls or anything relevant to Chloe's review, we have her here for a whole nother hour. We're going to be answering those questions. Make sure you tweet at IGN with the hashtag IGNPlaysLive. Again, that's hashtag IGNPlaysLive. That's all you have to include in your tweet, and I'll see it. We're also monitoring. There's a lot of chats to monitor, but monitoring Facebook, monitoring YouTube, as well as Twitch. So go ahead and field your question, but if you really need it answered, make sure you tweet it at us.
Thank you, Duggan, for taking these questions, because I cannot look at anything else on the screen.
There's only one of you, and this would be an enormous amount of work to like read questions, play, and answer them at the same time, so I can...
It's hard enough to talk while I play.
Oh, I know. Especially in a game like this.
We're actually very close to the boss, so that's...
Oh, that's going to be great.
Good news. Yeah.
It's going to be a time for me to shut up and watch you play, which I'm very much looking forward to doing. You said in your review that bosses were a high point in this game. You really enjoyed them. You liked the variants. Can you kind of elaborate?
Yeah. There are so many bosses in this game, you guys. There's like... I feel like if you include the side mission bosses, which again, I didn't do all of the side missions, so I'm excited to go back and do a lot of those. But if you include them, there's probably like 30-something bosses.
Wow.
I like that it's a good mix of kind of like one-on-one duels with human enemies or humanoid type enemies, and then the really, crazy epic fights against like huge monsters. And there's also a lot of bosses, and there's actually one in this level that's a good example that make use of the boss arena. So you actually have to kind of take your physical environment into account. It's not just like the boss room. And that's
sure.
It. Yeah, there's just a really solid variety of things to fight. Some of them are easier than others. Some of them are really, really hard. Did you play the beta of this game at all?
I did not. No, I had no time.
So I didn't play the alpha or the beta either, but I know that this one boss was in the beta. She's like this bat vampire. Oh my god, that boss gave me so much trouble. And she's like an early game boss too. Easily one of the hard. And I mean, that's just because I'm just using these so we can go fight the boss.
So this question goes right up that line of context. So I'm gonna take it. And this is from Twitch. This is from Ninja. I played Bloodborne and loved it, but tried the beta and the gameplay was too difficult. Is the gameplay the same as the beta, and is there a way to turn down the difficulty? And this is, of course, in reference to Nioh.
So, like I said, I didn't play the beta. I heard a couple things about the alpha and the beta that people really didn't like. For instance, like weapon durability used to be in this game. It is not in the final game, and thank God, because I cannot even imagine having to manage your weapons on top of everything else. What was the other part of the question?
The other part of the question is, how do you basically? Is there a way to turn down the difficulty? I would imagine like grinding out revenants and kind of over leveling yourself for the content.
Yeah,
doing a lot of
I
side
mean,
missions would help.
You can. Well, the side missions themselves can be pretty tough too. Honestly, I feel like the only way to really bring down the difficulty in this game is to get good, or summon a friend.
Okay.
Like I said, I fought 2 bosses with a co-op partner, and it was way too easy. Like, sadly easy. I definitely miss kind of like the...
Sure.
I have some good memories from Dark Souls of like taking on a super hard boss with a friend and stuff, and it's still like a challenge.
Sure.
In this game,
I do remember some bosses in Dark Souls and even Dark Souls 2 and 3 being
3
kind of a steamroll with a friend. But
yeah. Okay.
This looks like a boss arena.
This is the boss room.
All right.
Gotta get ready. So this boss is not incredibly hard, but like I said, make one mistake in Nioh and you're done for. And this guy's got a one-hit kill move, so we're gonna do our best. Most bosses have a one-hit kill move actually, and some of them even like to spam it.
He's the ultimate slime. The Giga slime.
We actually skipped the cutscene for him.
Oh no!
I think it's maybe because Mitchell already beat this level.
Is that giving you the Guardian into your weapon, or is that just kind of an upgrade?
No, I just imbued my sword with flame. Oh my god.
Wow.
Yeah. That is a one-hit kill.
How many tries did you find yourself taking on these bosses compared to, Dark Souls? Sometimes you could one-shot people, other times I found myself trying 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
What was your experience with that?
It ranged from some of them I killed on the first try, some took upwards of like 10.
Yeah.
Some, like the 2 that I had to co-op, I just gave up and was like, I
Enough of this.
It was the kind of thing where like I would not have done co-op if I wasn't trying to play this game on deadline. Holy crap.
Sure.
It got to the point where I was just like, this is taking too long. I don't have
the time.
An hour to spare in reviewing this game. I mean, like, I beat this game Sunday night, and the game comes out today. We wanted to have the review up yesterday.
Sure. It's a tough thing, sacrificing your pride, but you need to do it in a professional context, and kudos to you for doing that. I'm gonna hold off on the questions.
I'm gonna die. This isn't working out. I used a battle axe for this guy when I first fought him, and
does it have a bit longer range, or?
I had this ability that lets you hold down triangle, and you do this like spinning attack that. Oh, I got him here.
These summon little slimes, which are also no fun.
Yeah,
all right, popping your Guardian Spirit there, which is kind of like your ultimate, your super.
Yeah, see these little guys during this fight are just the worst.
Oh, and there you got this. So I saw at the end there you ran out of stamina and got stun locked. And that's just, you were saying that is like the kiss of death.
I got too greedy.
Yeah.
Can't get greedy in this game.
All right, well, we're gonna retry. In the meantime, this is a great question from. Wait, let me just confirm something first. Okay, yeah, it's a really good question from Derek Kuistra on Twitter. Would like to know. He says, I know it's not all about scores, but Dark Souls 3 got a 9.5 from you, and Nioh got a 9.6. So his question to you is, Chloe,
yes.
Do you put this above Dark Souls 3? What really wowed you about it?
Yeah. So I did give this 0.1 points more than Dark Souls 3, which is a game that I love from a series that I love. For me, Dark Souls 3 was amazing, and it was one of my favorite games last year, but it's not one of my favorite Dark Souls games. I mean, it's up there. If I had to rank it, it would probably be like Dark Souls 1, Bloodborne, which I count as, you know,
the Souls.
Dark Souls 3, and then Dark Souls 2 last.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's just so much to this game. The combat is just so built out and so intricate. The game is twice as long as Dark Souls 3 easily. And I know it's easy to say, like, you know, quality over quantity and stuff, but Nioh only gets better as the game goes on. Like, the last couple levels are so strong, and the last couple bosses were just so impressive that I definitely think it was a much better experience than Dark Souls 3. And I'm saying that as someone who adores Dark Souls 3. So,
so really high praise from you in terms of this game.
Right. Well, right now what I'm doing before I go back into the boss is I'm trying to get my Guardian Spirit available.
Got it. And
So
you're
you can
spending
kind of-
experience to do that. Is that kind
No,
of...
I'm just grinding back and forth
Oh,
a
okay.
little bit.
Is that kind of par for the course for when you die on a boss? You kind of have to, like, do a little bit of maintenance to get your Guardian Spirit back? Because I
You
imagine you
don't
would need it.
Have to. I just I kind of got in the habit of always having my Guardian Spirit available during boss fights, just because it makes them a tad easier. And again, I was in a rush to beat this game. I mean, it doesn't make it so easy that, like, you know, it's like a crutch or anything, but it's nice to kind of be able to fall back on the Guardian Spirit for the last part of a fight. But when you do damage, your Guardian Spirit meter actually goes down. So, if you take damage, so that means that it's, you know, you're not completely invincible when you use it.
Yeah, I saw that you were able to kind of push him pretty far into phase 2 when you popped your Guardian Spirit. What is
Oh, he was already in phase 2 when I used it.
Yeah, you were just able to, like, push him down a significant amount to the point where I
yeah.
thought you almost had it.
Had it, but these little guys.
It's tantalizing, I know. The ads. So, your particular Guardian Spirit, I don't know if there's other Guardian Spirits that do different effects on your weapons, but the, like, kind of sword oil you put on your sword, the Guardian Spirit, and then the sword bonfire fire look very similar to me.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
can you kind of tell
Like
me
the
the difference
pine resins
between...
and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, so what I'm using is fire talismans, which imbue your sword with fire. And there's also water talismans and earth talismans.
And those are effective against certain types of enemies?
Yeah, and yeah, like a lot of enemies are elemental, and so that they have sensitivities to certain elements. And so, like, for instance, these for some reason the water demon is sensitive to fire.
Yeah, I
which
know.
doesn't
Maybe
really
he's made of oil? I don't know.
Oh, that's a good point.
Or goo. You all know if you're looking to beat a giant oil monster, you just light it on fire and walk away.
Got my spirit back.
Question from Tom.
One
continue.
sec. You're asking about
Yes.
Guardian Spirits. There are multiple Guardian Spirits that you can collect throughout the game. You can also start out with one of 3, so you have a choice there. But you can switch them out anytime at the shrine. You do have to level your spirit to use certain ones, and the spirit stat also lets you, like, use them for longer, makes them more powerful, gives you access to, like, certain passive buffs that the Guardian Spirits give you. So
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Ultimate concentration time. We're all gonna watch Chloe and be amazed at her ability to destroy monstrous goos summoned from the ocean. Looks tricky, for sure. I couldn't imagine trying to fight a Dark Souls boss that I've only fought once or twice on the stream. That would be very, very nerve-wracking, but thankfully I'm not the one playing right now, so I don't really have to worry about it at all.
we just have to do the tutorial. Oh God, he's barfing up shipwrecks at me.
So,
There's this one-hit kill.
having streamed many a game, there's your at-home performance, there's your away from home performance, and then there's your on-stream performance.
Oh, God.
And the on-stream performance is always more challenging than the other two. Even away from your home setup, and even if you get your setup comfortable, there's just something about streaming a game that...
Everyone's watching.
I know. Well, hey, you're doing very well so far. And you've taught us a lot about the game.
You'll always be doing better.
And so I see that his little... there's a cool invulnerability frame. I see that his little... like telegraphs right there, the little blobs he's shooting out, are making those stamina regen. Oh, blasted by the laser!
I saw it too, but usually
you were doing so well.
All right, what were you saying?
Third time's a charm. Well, I was saying that his little like goo that he shoots out, and then it makes like a little telegraph on the ground, and is that? It looked like that was a stamina. Like prevented regeneration.
Shooting out the yokai realms, yeah.
The yokai realms really come into play. I like it a lot.
A lot, yeah. I mean, that just goes to show you what a huge focus on stamina this game has.
I love that mechanic and how it's repeated and how you deal with it and the key pulse. And when I was reading the review, I didn't really have context for the key pulse, and I was like, what's so awesome about this? But now seeing it, I think that's really awesome. So, of course, the run back to the boss means we have time for more questions. In the vein of bosses, Tom Shenton on Twitter wants to know, yo, which have been your favorite bosses in the game?
My favorite boss... See, I'm not doing good. I'm just trying to...
Nice, good dodge.
Guardian Spirit back. Oh, what? Did he regenerate health? My favorite boss is probably the Ogress and the Giant Toad. And a couple endgame bosses that I won't spoil because they're really crazy.
So you do think the quality of bosses kind of does show its strength towards the latter half of the game?
Definitely. And I'm not saying that like the early game bosses are bad, but like just the late game bosses are so impressive. I was really blown away by one in particular that I don't want to spoil, but it's really crazy when you get there. The level 2 that it's in. See, I'm getting a little hack and slashy right now, just trying to get my spirit back.
I've had these moments. We have an interesting, a very interesting theory here from Saves the Day Xbox Live on Twitch. Says maybe if the dude stopped talking for like 2 minutes, she could concentrate. Well, that's not going to happen, so she's just going to have to deal with it. It's like playing on super hard with me here,
like
distracting her with questions.
Twilight mode with James Duggan. James Duggan mode. I feel like if you were just dead silent, it would actually be a little more distracting and scary.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be, I don't know, it's weird. You don't want to break the, be like, okay, let's all watch. And then do absolutely nothing. All right, so we have a question here from Skywarp DC. So in order to invite a friend to the game, he has to finish the mission. You invite him to first on single player, or at least unlock it. We're a little fuzzy on those details, but yes, that's the correct line of thought. Oh, we have Ninja TW answering your question in chat. Thank you guys so much for answering other people's questions in chat. You're the real MVP. All right, completely different subject here. Cody Gulledge, James, you're going to do more For Honor on hashtag IGN Plays Live. You're really awesome at it. Thanks so much. I wish I could say that it's not just an utterly frustrating experience every time I play it, but that's how you know you're getting good.
Is it not fun?
What, For Honor?
Yeah. Oh my God, this guy with the...
Whoa, that guy's got a dirty build. It's... without going too into it, I find it to be inconsistent a lot of the time. The whole game, I don't know, just what works one time seems to not work in another context, but not based upon your skill or elements. It just, I don't know.
Pissing me off. Pissing me off, Skeleton.
So what did you just lose there? Because this is the first time we saw...
Oh, no, I called back my Guardian Spirit,
okay.
so I just...
So you're good.
Yeah. Oh, and here, actually, one thing that's really cool is when you drop your grave after you die, you don't lose your spot when your Guardian Spirit is charging. So, like, you can see I still have the charge there. Yeah.
So it seems like they're well aware of the gameplay associated with kind of progression fighting a boss and having to go back to it over and over and, you know, worrying about charging your Guardian Spirit would be really... could be really tedious, but
yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy For Honor when I enjoy it most in a 1v1 context. I find it to be the most consistent there, and I really do like it. It really does feel like a developed fighting game in a different, like, directional combat style. If you want to try other directional combat games, you can play Mount Blade, which is superb, War of the Roses, which is okay, and then there's a few more. But, man, Mount Blade looks so bad because it's so old, but it's so good. All right, let's bring it back to Nioh, the Nioh questions.
Gonna go save at the shrine, and then we're gonna go fight the boss.
We have a great post on Twitter from Derek Kubistra, who links a nice boss picture from Splatoon. And yes, it does look like a Splatoon boss. Great question here from Colorful Fox. Is on Twitter, is there an item similar to the Homeward Bone in Dark Souls in Nioh?
Yeah, there is. I can show that one thing.
No rush to show it.
Actually 2 or 3 items that kind of fit that bill. But in different contexts. So I want to make sure I'm in a safe spot. Okay, so to quit out of a mission, you use the Himorogi fragment, which actually you lose all your progress in a mission, so you probably don't want to use this unless
does it give you anything? Do you retain anything from, like, items?
So there's 2 different kinds. There's the fragment and the branch. The fragment is an item that you can use as many times. Like, so you see there's no number next to it, so you can use this as many times as you want. The Himorogi branches you collect, and that saves your experience, so you don't sacrifice it if you want to quit out of a mission. I never felt the need to, like, abandon a mission, so it didn't really remove from my personal experience, but I do kind of think it's a shame that you can't access, like, the blacksmith and the dojo and stuff, like, while in a mission.
Sure.
I mean, that's maybe the one downside to having this be mission-based instead of open world, but again, like, my personal experience was never incredibly
impacted by
it. So anyway, and then you have these travel amulets, which you find a good amount of, and they let you teleport back to the shrine. So that's kind of the Homeward Bone. And you can also use them during boss fights.
A lot of questions about For Honor and its comparison to Nioh pouring in. I'm gonna go ahead and nip that in the bud right now. You can tune in on the 9th. We will be live streaming. There's going to be a nice open beta stream, and that's going to be with myself, Alana Pierce, Brian Altano, and that is the War of the Factions. We're each generals representing our factions, and we're going to be trying to the best of our ability to display our skill. So the 9th is right here on IGN Plays Live. Until then, we're going to keep it all Nioh focused. And
no.
What just happened? Oh, he's not letting you.
The
He's really good at area denial with that objective that you need to hit him. It's like he knows that you want to kill him or something.
Yes, what's scary about this guy is you don't want to use up all of your stamina attacking him because he could throw out that
giant Gigapulse and you would just be done for.
Is it coming?
You were doing so well, and then it was just one of those things. Oh my god!
Oh god, and see, I have no stamina.
Yeah, you have to regenerate that stamina. Exciting. All the excitement of the Souls boss here.
Okay.
Oh, here it comes, here it comes. Nice, good job. Now you're trying to punish him for that, and it seemed to be running up against a stamina gate when you do that.
Yeah.
Or a key gate. We should start using key, but whatever. Let's call it what it is.
Okay. See, like,
wow, there was almost no animation to that. Yeah, careful, you're in a
yeah.
zone. Nice, good job. Great job. Here it
comes.
comes.
He's spamming it. Come on.
To be fair, if I were this boss, I would be doing the same thing, using my cheesiest ability. Here it comes. Nice. It looks like you're getting close to sending him into phase 2 here.
Yeah, it's about half health. He goes.
And what's so nerve-wracking about that particular one-shot ability is kind of the lack of a telegraph on where it starts and stops.
Oh, what? He went to the other side?
Uh-oh. Oh my god, he threw a ship at you.
Oh my gosh.
This is too much, man. This is good.
Oh, he's gonna move into the middle.
Comes phase 2, summoning the ads, which you were quickly dispatching. Yeah, it looks like you have 2 more. Now, does he just summon those willy-nilly throughout the fight, or is the strategy
I believe.
focus him, or?
Oh my God.
Ooh,
What?
that was a really powerful AoE ability on his part.
Yeah, he has a couple of those. Come on, I'm getting greedy. Okay. Oh, what?
Oh!
Do you see what I
The
mean?
slam.
Not if for a second you cannot let your guard down.
And what's really interesting about what we're witnessing right now is you experienced with a certain weapon and a certain build and relied on a certain ability that seemed to counter what he was doing, or at least allow you to kind of breeze past him. But I've had a very similar experience in Dark Souls where I'm playing the game again, going back to a boss that I thought I could beat with a different build, and it's super challenging.
Yeah.
So now you're using a different build with a different weapon, and that's what we're seeing
You
here.
know,
So
I realized
speaking to the replayability of the game.
On this, Mitchell has not leveled Spirit that much, so actually we're not receiving a lot of buffs from our Guardian Spirit. So you can see the ones in white are the ones that we do have. The ones that are grayed out, we have to be a certain level to reach those. So our key would actually be recovering 20% faster if we were level 7 Spirit.
How close are you to that? Is that
Um,
achievable, or is that?
if we wanted to do a bit more grinding before going up against the boss.
Sure, let's do it. We got 40 minutes left here. I want to
2 more levels.
applaud Chloe on her attempt so far. That attempt was really good, and both of the ones that were really good just got destroyed by one of those one-shot huge abilities.
I
But
actually want to see what kind of weapons we got going here.
oh, here's a great question from Invader Zam on Twitch. Does armor make you slower, and does that stat actually matter? And do the stats actually matter? Does the stats?
Yes, that is a very good question. So while we're in the menu, you can see at the very top we have our equipment weight, and we're actually 92% right now, which is a lot slower than the way I played. I was always in the green. And this is actually affected by one of your stats.
So Mitchell doing a poor job with his encumbrance there. He's going to have to fix that after the stream. Or maybe we'll just do it for him right now.
It's like Dark Souls. You take less damage with heavier armor. You can tank it if you want, or you can go lighter, and obviously you take more damage, but you're quicker. It does affect your speed. One thing that I like is that weapons don't have any weight, so like you can equip anything.
That's cool. So you could have a very light build in terms of armor, and then a very heavy weapon.
Yeah.
Nice. That's very exciting. A lot of love coming on Facebook with the emojis. These games are all about trying and dying and trying again, and you've progressed farther than you have before.
Now
we're gonna keep trying.
So we're gonna grind a bit, right?
Yeah, let's grind a bit. Let's see if we can get
Revenant.
that encumbrance to a good spot, or maybe just the Guardian Spirit to a point where you can kind of regenerate more ki. And then I think we give it another attempt.
And hopefully I don't fail you guys.
Let's
get General Putin.
Liehord on Twitch says, IGN, is this game as hard as the Souls games? That's an answer, a question that we've answered before, but it's not a super easy answer. I think the abridged version of the answer to that would be it's comparable. He said he played Bloodborne but couldn't beat the first level. You'll probably have a similar experience here where there is this initial curve to these animation-based action RPGs. I remember the hardest time that I had in any Souls game was my first couple hours with Dark Souls. But that was also some of the most rewarding time for me because you see this massive progression in the way you play and the way you approach it. This looks a little bit more fleshed out in terms of kind of the key pulse and stamina regeneration, and it seems like it's a little bit, what's the word I want to use here, more refined, but still difficult as we're seeing. And so you are summoning revenants, which are corpses of other players. You're finding a PvE version of those players in an attempt to get some experience. And as long as you don't run into that cheesy dual wheel build, we should be
God.
okay here. This guy's looking like he's not putting up too much of a fight. Nice. Very active on the key pulses there, again with the blocking. So in spite of the no riposte system, blocking playing a huge part in defense. Uh-oh.
Oh, he's got like no health left too.
What was that? What did you just
I
check?
think
Whatever, he's dead. It doesn't
Doesn't
matter. Saves the day XBLA saying something on Twitch there that I can't really speak to, but I do want to bring up a question that I'm sorry I don't know who it was from, that I think is interesting. For me, the Dark Souls series, in a lot of ways, harkened back to a kind of a tabletop RPG era in terms of its archetypes, in terms of really being able to customize your character both aesthetically and build-wise to be, you know, the mage, the rogue, the warrior. But in this game, you're playing as a single character, William.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel that there was a more difficult time for you kind of associating with the character? I know in games where I can customize a character, I'm always a little bit more invested in those than games where I'm playing somebody that's preset.
Like, did I have trouble identifying?
Yes.
I mean, William is like I said, I never cared about his story too much, and he's an incredibly boring and underdeveloped.
So he's a neutral mask. He's the Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. In a way, I mean, in the beginning, I was like, man, I wish I could just create my own character because this guy's like a blank slate. But in a way, I kind of grew to like how boring he was. I thought it was sort of funny. Like, it added... I don't know if it's an intentional comedy. I feel like it probably is.
Uh-huh.
But it adds... it definitely adds some lightheartedness. You know, just seeing these, like Hattori Hanzo and all these, like, famous Japanese, like, generals from, like, real history and stuff. So invested in their own stories, and then plus just William is just there, like he's just like, I don't know what's going on.
Well, I feel like that's the lovability of a good neutral mask is,
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
it's the whole world is happening to them around them, and they're just kind of going with it.
Yeah, like look at Gordon Freeman, like people.
Exactly.
But yeah,
hey,
I mean,
said
so
1990. I am not insulting Keanu Reeves. Let me make that clear right now. Being a good neutral mask is a very hard thing to do, and I'm sure something that most actors would kill for, and actresses. And he does it to a T, so good for him. Great question here from Derek Kuistra on Twitter. Wants to know, do you two have any insider information on getting a Prepare to Try series with this bad boy? Well, Gav Murphy and Daniel Krupa are in the office, so I will take that question directly to them and tweet out the answer. A little bit of shameless self-promotion. You can follow me at Duggan, THUGGN, I'll let you know what they have to say on that regard. I would love to see that. Those guys are great at what they do. And I think this game would... I know Rory's been playing it. I know he's been putting out content, so I would imagine that's in the works.
He is liking it a lot. I want to see the Prepare to Try guys play Bloodborne.
So maybe that before this? Well, as long as I guess they both get done, it doesn't really matter. We're getting a lot of questions about the frame rate, and you were talking earlier about you can play it at 30 or 60. Do you know, I believe we are playing on a PS4 Pro right now?
Yeah.
Mitchell? So do you know on the regular PS4, the 60 FPS option, is that 1080 or is that 720? Do we know what the resolution is?
I think it's 720.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're not playing on the PS4 Pro, you can still run it at 60, but you're playing on 720 instead of 1080.
The game still looks good to me. I mean, in terms of resolution, and the frame rate was pretty stable throughout, which is nice. Do we want to grind or do we want to fight this boss?
How are you doing on that thing that you were trying to unlock?
We haven't leveled
yet.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to be a little bit of a arduous process?
Take a little while.
All right.
I mean,
we have half an hour left. I figure we can get a couple more attempts in. Before you do, I just want to remind everybody to tweet at IGN with the hashtag IGNPlaysLive, and we'll do our best to answer.
Oh, I don't want to
Kidney Thief 8, weird name. Chloe has an awesome last name. Chloe has a rad last name, man. I'm sure that's far from the first time she's heard that terrible joke. But all right, this is attempt number 4 or 5. Here we go. This is a
4 or
boss.
5 already?
Yeah, this is a boss that appears to have a lot more tricks up his sleeve than it seems like you initially encountered on your first playthrough.
No, like I said, this boss is not incredibly difficult, but it is just one of those things where you just can't make a mistake, and it's easy to make a mistake.
On a live stream, especially.
Yeah. See, like right there. I should have dodged that. Nope. Oh god, I thought it was.
A game that demands perfection.
See? Bad start.
It's okay. It's okay.
Bad
Don't
start.
get in inside your own head. You know what? This would make a really good prepare to try game,
definitely
obviously.
And
Well,
I built up a
Chloe,
guardian
you
spirit,
did
everything.
beat this game, so
Yeah.
you have already defeated this boss. So at least we can take some solace in that fact. So again, talking about the difficulty, you probably got this question a lot. This comes from Bankai Tom. Which is harder, the Souls games or Nioh? I would imagine, talking more about that it is on a per-level basis, a per-boss basis. They seem different, but as we can see right now, this is plenty difficult.
It's, yeah, I mean, I feel like might have already said this on the stream, but what makes Nioh hard is just there's no room for mistakes. I can't even hit the box, that's how hard it is. Oh my god, yeah, what the hell? You know what, skeleton? Shut up. Piss me off.
This is the point where I stopped playing in Dark Souls, where I'm trying to progress past a boss. It's gone well a couple times. Pretty much in any game. Same thing in World of Warcraft. When you're progression rating or what have you, and you get to this point where you've attempted it, and you're so focused on the mechanics that you're about to experience in Phase 2 or something, you just start kind of making mistakes along the way.
Yeah.
And it becomes very frustrating. But hey, that's the experience that I crave.
Oh, so it's not hand cannon. Come on. With the dashing.
Oh man. I'm very curious to see the Reddit post detailing the most annoying Revenant build.
Oh, yeah.
Which we may have run into right now. This guy's stamina seems to be endless.
Oh, well, I gotta move to counter that. Oh, come on. Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, if you play for too long, you start to just rush through.
Sure. I had the same experience with Souls, too. Whoa! This is a boss in and of itself. This guy's... It's crazy how the variance in difficulty between these Revenants are.
Yeah, I'm really curious, like, what determines... Oh, that was bad. What determines, like, the Revenant's behavior, too? Because,
Sure.
like, I'm sure the level makes them more difficult, but, like, what about your own playstyle, like, affects the AI? Oh, man, a guy woke up over there, too.
So people were trying to make comparisons between For Honor and this, and I think they're completely different games. And maybe the similarities between them seem a little bit more similar than they actually are, but one thing I will say is For Honor hinges on the stamina system as well, and you press the assault when your opponent is out of stamina, and it's if you don't regenerate that stamina and try to attack, you're going to die and lose. So, Taint 24 Glory. Good job.
Yeah. So you get glory, and you can actually use that. It's a currency that you can use. Later, you can join, like, a faction or a clan, and those give you some passive bonuses. And you can also actually see, like, which clans are winning, too. So there's, like, red and blue clans.
Interesting.
And I think it's determined by, like, how many red or blue revenants, or, like, how often they win or lose.
Great question here from Ninja TW. IGN, is it possible to play co-op at all times, or do you have a limited number of co-op summons? People seem to be confused on this point. You were showing me earlier that you needed a consumable
Yeah.
to summon a guy.
You get those. You get the items that you use to summon people from fighting revenants.
Got it.
Actually, like, you can get those as a drop, and you can also.
So
buy them.
you could theoretically grind a bunch of those and play almost exclusively
Yeah,
co-op.
I had like 50 of those, like, at the halfway point. So it's definitely you don't have to worry about being short on them unless you're gonna try to co-op the entire game.
Skywarp DC on Twitch wants to know, so since you can invite a friend who hasn't beaten the mission yet, does the same go for boss fights? I would imagine so, since you're summoning them into the mission, which they haven't beaten, which you can't do.
Yeah, you can't beat the mission without beating the boss.
Oh, here's a great question that I totally forgot about asking you, that we were talking about a little bit earlier. This comes from Steve Harris 83 on Twitch. Thank you so much for this question. Does Nioh have a spell system similar to Dark Souls? So fireballs, soul spears, lightning strikes. It's something that I was curious to see if they could work into the aesthetic, and you said it does. But
So there is magic in this game. Let me actually go back to the shrine because we finally have enough charge for our living weapon. And I can kind of run that down real quick. I've never been a huge magic user in games, in like Souls games especially, you know, where like the melee action has always been my favorite part. But you do have ninja skills and Onmyo magic skills, and so you get skill points for these by doing training missions. You get items, consumables that grant you more skills, and I believe you also get them from like leveling a certain way too. So you can totally you can go only melee if you want, which is essentially what I did. You can even go only ninja and magic. The ninja skill tree has this really cool skill. You have to complete one of the training missions to get access to it, but if you're barehanded, like if you don't have any weapons equipped, you can churn your enemy's weapon back on them. And so you grab it and you stab them with it.
Awesome.
And I've been hearing that there's like people one-shotting bosses using this skill.
That's really cool.
With just using a bunch of buffs and stuff, which just sounds amazing. And I'm sure at some point some crazy skilled Let's Player is going to do a barehanded run of this game.
I really hope the PvP comes sooner rather than later, because all these really cool systems would seem to lend themselves really well to interesting PvP builds.
For sure. Yeah, so with magic, you get like things like talismans and to like for your weapon, to like imbue your weapon with a certain element. You get a talisman to like slow enemies down. There's nothing really like shooting fireballs or like you can't really. There are? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, wait, you're right. Never mind. I take it back. See, I didn't spend a lot of time with the magic. Sorry, guys. But yeah, like you get projectiles and stuff. You get elemental like shurikens and stuff with the ninja. You can prepare jutsu here.
I've also never spent any time with magic in any Souls game or Souls-like.
So you can prepare these things. So you have, and you can actually see in my items at the bottom left, the ones with green, these regenerate every time I go to the shrine.
Oh, so those are kind of like spell charges.
Yeah, so I'm preparing these explosives. That scared those guys.
It's because you killed all those fish.
No, one time I threw an explosive at the shrine and they all did that, and I thought that I destroyed the shrine, and I was so scared.
You killed them all.
But anyway, yeah, there's magic in this game. I've definitely fought a couple revenants that are heavily magic builds, and pretty cool.
We got a comment here from, we have a comment here, a bunch. Pestilence 88, I need this game, all caps on need. And then there was another one that I was going to vamp off of, but can't find. Somebody on YouTube, sorry I can't find your comment, but he was saying I need this game and don't have a PS4.
No.
Yeah, I know. Hey, the first-party exclusives are what is needed to sell consoles. That's what sells, games sell consoles, not the other way around. So, we'll see how long this stays exclusive. I would imagine there's a much greater likelihood of it coming to Steam than it coming to Xbox, based on the publisher. But
I would love this game on PC.
Yeah, me too.
I'm trying to think, how can I prepare for this boss? I'm missing that battle axe that I used the first time. Got a good tip from Mitch. He says to throw the bombs at the second phase. the thing. You're doing that thing, James. You're being too quiet. It's making me nervous.
All right. Yeah, so that Super Bowl game was definitely the best one I've ever seen or witnessed. I don't really watch Super Bowl replays, but man, that was fantastic. I didn't really have a stake in either of those teams, but I just kind of grew up with Tom Brady in New England, and every single girl in my high school had a picture of him on their binder. So it's kind of hard not to despise him, but man, he's just so good and tries so hard and did so well. So that was great. Thinking of more distracting topics to kind of like ease the tension in this boss fight that really is completely insignificant and there's no pressure or anything for anybody to perform. Yeah, so I did a rant on Pokemon games for this internal IGN project. I just don't. That's a series that doesn't make any more sense to me as I've evolved as a gamer. Leave all your hate in the comments. I was actually on NVC for the first time, keeping it completely off the topic of Nioh. I was on NVC there to talk about what I would want as a PC gamer in the Switch, and it was actually very productive. And we got to talking about a bunch of different topics. Did you know that there's a monthly subscription fee for the Nintendo Switch for online services, and you get a free game every month, but unlike Xbox Live or even Origin, which doesn't cost anything, that give a free game every month, you have to give that game back at the end of the month, which I thought was totally absurd, but hey, maybe I'm spoiled. My completely insignificant banter seems to be doing the trick. Chloi doing pretty well here, but as we've seen in previous attempts of this boss, everything can turn around in the blink of an eye. Knock on wood, even though this table's plastic, he is not spamming his giant laser attack.
It's making me nervous.
Oh god, what's he doing though? I don't know.
Oh, okay,
there it is. There it is. There it is. All right, cool. Cool. Dodge the first one. We're safe for the moment. Potato King is joining us for this epic attempt at this boss. Potato King, this boss has been a lot of trouble for us with his cheesy mechanics, but also very fun.
Oh no. Oh no, I'm only going to have one health item for the final phase.
All right.
Here it comes. You guys.
This is...
Do I have a bonfire lit still? Don't.
This is every single Souls boss fight for me.
Okay,
That's exactly what's going on. All right, so here's the ad phase. This is phase 2.
Get out of here.
You still have your Guardian Spirit. Using bombs to great effect. Great job, Mitch. Careful, he's going to do a slam.
Oh, man.
Looks like he has an exposed core there, though.
Yeah.
There's a big kind of AoE thing.
These little guys, go away.
Just go away, little guys. I think a slam is coming up. I can feel it. Something. All right, popping the Guardian Spirit, going absolutely ham here. Of course, we've seen this in Season 2 to such great effect. Chloi Rad coming out there for San Francisco, making us all very proud. I actually shoutcasted my first video on IGN for a John Wick thing, and it turned out pretty well. I mixed up Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare, so the comments were mad about that, but all I have to say in my defense is...
No. Oh, no.
Whoa! Oh, my God!
You guys...
We're on a fraction of HP here. Oh, and that was so close. That was like
so
20%.
Close.
We have 15 more minutes. We have time for one more attempt.
15 more minutes.
We're progressing. It may not seem like it, but we are progressing.
Okay, let's see. I think.
More questions coming in the interim between boss attempts. Ryan Youngblood, this might have been asked earlier, but is there a massive playstyle difference between armor types as well, in addition to weapon types?
It's essentially just the how fast you want to be, how long your dash is.
Cool.
Yeah, your dash is
good stuff.
Shorter and slower if you're heavier. We don't have any Shinjuku medicine here, do we? Oh, here it is. Yeah. Gonna cheat a little bit, have extra healing items. So should I grind for my Guardian Spirit or what?
Yeah, we have time.
Okay. A connection error has occurred. We're not playing online anyways. Oh? Oh my god. The game froze for a sec. I'm nervous, you guys.
Let's check these chats. Skywarp DC on Twitch chat says, I want to see the Marshmallow Man take on this boss. Of course, referring to Sigmire of Katarina from Dark Souls. The Onion Knight.
Never heard him called the Marshmallow.
Yeah, me neither.
How'd you know that's what he was talking about?
Well, I just assumed he also kind of looks like a giant marshmallow blob. Yeah, this boss is kind of reminiscent of the the giant marshmallow dude in, why am I blanking on the name? Yeah, in Ghostbusters, but the Stay Puft Man. Thank you. I've never liked giant angry blobs or blobs in any game. I can't think of a single blob enemy that I've ever enjoyed. Slimes are the worst.
Yeah, they remind me of in the sewers and Dark Souls, those things that drop on you from the ceiling.
Yeah, I remember those. Slimes are almost always terrible. And now we have a boss. It's a slime, so hey. Okay, so he was talking about the Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters. Well, I would like to see the Onion Knight take him on.
No, if the Onion Knight was in here, he would just be sitting outside the boss room like, I don't know what to do. And then you would help him, and then he would die.
Mitch throwing in a comment, Dragon Quest slimes aren't bad. They're cute. Whatever. I hate slimes. I'm not afraid to admit it. Potato King says, I missed most of the stream, and you guys are fighting a massive angry blob. Yes, there's been a great lead-up. We had a wonderful discussion with our reviewer here, Chloi Rad, about the intricacies of Nioh, how it differs from Dark Souls, how it's similar to Dark Souls, and talking about the multiplayer system, talking about the magic system, talking about key regeneration and key pulses. So you can see all of that in a VOD after the stream in case you missed the beginning part. But now we are just simply progressing against this boss.
I wonder if he can give me the last experience I need.
Got him down to about 40%, and then we just got him down to about a quarter, so getting very close. And we are basically what you were doing right now is regenerating your guardian spirit, so you can kind of pop your
I have it,
super.
So I have 12 minutes to fight.
We do. Interesting question here from Ninja TW on Twitch. IGN, how do you feel about the artistic style of the game? I like the more realistic Bloodborne style. This is so cartoony. I've always had such a problem with that word, especially because since I never think the games look
super cartoony to me. I mean, I love that aspect of it, but it's like it's so exaggerated with everything.
Sure.
Like with its gothic aesthetic and stuff. I think it's awesome, but no, I like the aesthetic of this game a lot.
I do too.
It's definitely less grounded and more
fantastical,
silly fantasy than Dark Souls is. Dark Souls is a bit more darker, but I think it's really good. Okay, here I go.
This is what we call in the biz sweaty palms. Every time I play Rainbow Six Siege, game is real sweaty.
Do the thing.
Just a couple of sweaty tryhards trying to beat this boss in Nioh.
Is that what someone says?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Do the thing.
All right, I'm gonna keep it up with the seemingly useless banter just to make sure things don't get too heavy in terms of the tone.
Yeah.
I do really like how there's like ships and kind of all of the stuff you would find on a dock rolled into this giant terrible blob. But the question is, what is inside of him? What is that? Is that a giant sun? Oh my god, that giant sun almost just hit you in the face. Of course, as we've seen before, that move is a one-shot kill, which I would be curious to see just how much damage it actually does if you're able to kind of circumvent that with HP. And, of course, the core conceit here of any good Dark Souls fight, which is when to press the attack, when to just focus purely on dodging, and which attacks you need to avoid and which ones you can capitalize on, we are seeing unfold right now. And for those who are just tuning in, those blobs that he sends out leave this kind of telegraph, which we can kind of see there. It's this kind of black and white scenario. And that is an area where you are unable to regenerate stamina quickly. And you have to do what's called a key pulse to get rid of it. Oh! Whoa, that was close. So there is a little bit of a tell on that. He kind of lurches back, but it's so quick.
That is not
Still have one fire left, of course, the Guardian Spirit, and he's coming to about 60% HP. Couple good hits, and we'll send him into Phase 2 with the ads, which is difficult. It seems like the move to avoid in Phase 2 is definitely the big body slam, as well as this large AoE that kind of sends him into a pancake-like formation. I think the game looks quite nice here. I actually really like the artistic style of the numbers, the combat text. Getting a little bit low on key there. Okay, here we go, Phase 2. And the ads pop up. We have bombs at our disposal. We have the Guardian Spirit. Things are looking okay.
I'm gonna take my time and take these guys out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it gets so tense when you get stun locked from the key. We're doing... Chloe's doing her absolute best to take out these ads while dodging attacks at the same time. It's not an easy task.
I gotta heal.
Oh! And punished at the absolute worst time. But the good news is you were freed from your mortal coil. So you don't have to worry about being alive anymore.
Quite a lot in this game.
Yep. All right, we have 8 minutes left. We could probably get to it. I don't know. Let's just try. Whatever.
All right.
Who cares?
Again, it's one of those things where it's like you have a handle on it.
And then it all goes wrong.
One thing happens. One thing.
That's great boss design 101 in my opinion.
Where's this guy?
I always love the boss fights, and the ones that stick out most, or by the time I'm done with it, I've mastered every single mechanic and know every little detail about what the boss can throw at me. I, a lot of the times, don't feel super good when I kind of, like, cheat my way through a fight and just happen to get lucky.
Yeah.
That's not an experience that I enjoy, but everybody has their own likes and dislikes in that regard.
Yeah, the best boss fights are definitely the ones with all the close calls, but ideally ones that you survive. So maybe I shouldn't spend, because when I first beat this guy, I don't think I killed all of the guys.
Yeah, I think you can probably leave one alive. I also think...
The thing is they chuck things at you.
Oh. So maybe, I mean, it may not be a great idea, but spending your Guardian Spirit to get rid of the blobs, if you can get to each of them in time, that could be something you could pull. Trying your kind of, like... steroid mechanic at various points in the fight.
Yeah.
You seem to be getting through Phase 1 without too many difficulties, so I really think making sure you use the Guardian Spirit even if you do end up dying is probably your next step to progression. It's funny how similar this is to World of Warcraft rating progression. It's taught me so much about games. What a nerd.
Yeah, the key charge attack does a little bit of damage, which is nice. Yeah, we just need a little bit more.
Just about to get our Guardian Spirit back. We'll definitely have time for one more attempt, or at least the beginning of it. So for those of you who don't know, IGN Plays Live runs just about every Tuesday and Thursday from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific Time. You can tune in on Twitch. You can tune in on YouTube, Facebook, and, of course, IGN.com. And we try to do our absolute best to interact. I'll be on IGN Plays a lot more, hosting a lot more, so make sure you send questions my way on Twitter before the show, as well as during the show, using the hashtag IGN Plays Live.
Someone says, let me see. Ninja TW says, I get highly overwhelmed by the stats and inventory management in these types of games. Any tips? I talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the stream, but the game does a really good job teaching you what everything is and it kind of encourages you to take things a little bit slower with all the training missions and stuff. So I think you'll probably be fine. I mean, I'm the same way where like I don't play a lot of traditional JRPGs, and so I am not used to all these menus, but it's not a big deal. I don't think I'm ready. Oh no, bad start.
The volley shot would appear to agree. You're using your kind of like fire weapon enchant there.
Yeah, just
which allows you to give another.
Oh, well,
oh, you need to heal.
Okay.
Oh, that was almost the shortest attempt yet, but hey,
here goes
you know
two
what?
of my healing items.
You know what? Bad starts happen. You just gotta keep trying and don't worry about it so much. You've shown a ton of really good attempts. You've really been able to show off this boss's mechanics, and that I think is what's important. Huh, interesting.
Bad.
I always hate inconsistency about what stops what. Oh, this guy is laying down a very hazardous play area. Nice.
You don't want me to beat him on the stream.
The same camera woes that happen with Dark Souls and bosses with me seem to be happening in this game as well.
Oh, for this one, it's just because you can lock onto the arm, so it kind of gets a little weird.
Yeah. That's
the
a mechanic.
camera is actually not bad in this game.
Okay. Let's hear it for Chloi in the chat, giving us all these awesome attempts, showcasing her awesome Nioh skill, getting this boss down.
When you say that, what? I did some weird physics thing happen.
That was cool.
Jump attack.
Maybe you could just abuse that. That was funny. Watch out for the big... No, he seems to be doing these blob attacks, which don't seem to be nearly as bad.
Getting greedy with my attacks. Oh, I'm on low stance, too.
You are on low stance. I was going to comment about your stance, but... Wow, you can fall off the edge of this boss arena. This is an incredibly unforgiving boss fight. An unceremonious last attempt,
Welcome to Nioh.
A last attempt.
We're just gonna screw the Guardian. Oh, actually, wait. I don't have to screw the Guardian Spirit.
Can you get it back?
Yeah, because it'll still be there, fully charged.
Oh, okay.
I totally forgot about that.
This entire time has that been the case? Maybe. Questions or comments?
Momentary lapse in judgment.
Well, hey, look at this. A miraculous last attempt. Good question that we're going to end with, but I'm going to let you fight here. Okay, so the Guardian Spirit is there, so you don't really need to do all that regeneration stuff that we were doing.
I totally goofed, guys.
Hey, you've been doing nothing but playing this game for 70 hours.
For the last, 10 days, I have spent every waking moment playing Nioh. I was also really sick, which is funny because when I reviewed Dark Souls 3 last year, I was very sick.
Huh.
So I don't know what it is with me and these tough action RPGs, but I like them, but my body hates them. And it's just like, here's a 103-degree fever while you have to beat Nioh.
A fever dream.
On a deadline.
That's exciting. You're doing it on super challenging mode.
That's why when a very nice fellow on Twitter last night told me, I doubt you beat this game. I was just like...
That's got to feel pretty good.
I was like, I have been to hell and back. You do not know.
I feel like that's got to feel pretty good.
What?
I get those comments on gameplay videos sometimes, like, did somebody at IGN record this? It's like, yes, we play games. This is how we got into this industry. I will say, though, the thing that I was not prepared for when I started this job was just the absolute absurd variance of genres you need to be not proficient at, but good at.
Yeah.
To kind of speak about them. And that's probably the hardest thing, because everybody has their one or two genres that they're real masters at, but it's definitely saying something to be good at quite a few of them. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
looks like phase 2.
Love, these games. Dan Stapleton hates them. Dan Stapleton loves XCOM, and I just don't, I can't even.
I like XCOM. I'm not a big 4X guy, though. I never really have been. But not that XCOM is super 4X-y. But,
Here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna kill one.
All right, B. Oh. I don't know why I got so nervous just then, but I did. I think it was probably your proximity to the edge. Here comes a slam. Oh, almost setting you off the edge. This is getting too intense. Doing his big AoE attack.
I almost dodged off the edge just now.
All right. You still have your Guardian Spirit, and I would caution you to use it at some point. Throwing
Okay, you know what? Let's just...
throwing bombs. All right, ads are down. Guardian Spirit is almost up. And looking in a really good spot here.
Oh, don't speak too soon.
Right. The AoE ability. Using bombs. Getting a nice enchant off on your weapon there in a stamina degeneration zone, though. So be careful. Here comes a slam. Oh, the slam! So close!
You guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Chloi Rad. She's done a
It
fantastic
almost
job with
happened.
gameplay. She also beat this game. She beat this game over the course of about 70 hours. You can read her full review. That's on IGN.com. You liked it quite a bit. But obviously, any Souls-like game is going to be frustrating and challenging, or else it wouldn't be good.
Yeah, what you
any
just saw
final
here,
comments?
What you just saw here is an endorsement of the game. This game's hard. If you like hard games, you'll like
Check it
Nioh.
out. Thank you guys so much for joining me
Thanks
and
for joining
Chloe
us.
on IGN Plays Live for all things Nioh. You're already in the right place here at IGN. What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Plays Live. I'm James Duggan, joined by Chloi Rad.
Hey, everyone.
We're going to be talking about Nioh. You just reviewed it. You liked it a lot.
I like Nioh a lot. I played Nioh a lot. We're going to play some more for you guys now.
I'm actually going to play for my first time. I've yet to play any of it, but as I go through the tutorial, you're going to talk about some of the ways it differs from Dark Souls. You said in your review it owes a lot to Dark Souls.